Why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised that CNN, the Cemetery News Network, the place where media careers go to cease to exist, the only network in cable news that doesn't have a single star in prime time or daytime or any time, CNN, the home team of the Bum Squad, the network that called Caitlin Collins, Katie Roo, the network that called The Roo a rising star in cable news. CNN, the network responsible for keeping the mainstream media career of Wolf Blitzer, on life support. For some reason, they refuse to pull the plug. The Wolf's media career, it has a prime spot in the woke cemetery next to the donut diva Brian Stelter. But for some reason, CNN is keeping the old fossils media career alive. Why am I not surprised that the network responsible for a lot of the rhetoric that they are now condemning, the network responsible for 8 years of indoctrination, the network responsible for nonstop 24-hour coverage of Orange Man Bad, why am I not surprised that CNN found a way to criticize the Trumper seconds after he was attacked? If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Once again, I want to thank all of you guys, especially my channel members on our Discord server, for the abundance of information that you have provided me in the last 12 to 18 hours. I've been dealing with a headache all day trying to figure out what to present to you guys. Seems like every second I'm sent another new piece of information. Been a lot to go through, but I definitely appreciate your help and support. You know, one of the main things we have been missing in this country over the last 3.5 years, strength. Courage. There are many things that you can criticize about Donald Trump. You can say that he was divisive, which I don't know if it was necessarily Trump that was divisive. I think the mainstream media claimed he was divisive because he was the first president to expose their bullshit. Donald Trump is the reason people like me are thriving on this platform. He exposed the hypocrisy. He exposed the abundance of lies in the mainstream media, which caused people searching for information to find people like me who don't have an agenda. You can criticize Trump on his policies. Some conservatives feel like Trump is too liberal when it comes to things like abortion. Some felt like he wasn't fiscally responsible. He increased the national debt. You can criticize his lack of decorum, his inability to filter his thoughts. Now, me personally, I think most of the time that's a good thing. We have too many politicians who neuter themselves because they're afraid of offending Chad Thundercock, who is now choosing to identify as a lonely yenta who watches The View. There's a lot of things that you can criticize about the Trumper, but the one thing that you can't take away from him, the one thing that we had with Trump that we damn sure never had with Johnny B. Biden and never will have with Johnny B. Biden or cackling Cam Harris, Trump gave us strength. When Trump was in office, we didn't have Mahmoud laughing at us in Afghanistan because we fled the country and accidentally left billions of dollars in weaponry. When Trump was in office, Vlad Putin, he wasn't taking advantage of us. When Bob Greiner was caught sneaking Cheech and Chong through the airport in Mother Russia, Vlad Putin, he wouldn't be demanding Victor Boot in exchange for Bob. He knew Trump would never take that deal. Why in the hell would Trump give away a Porsche in exchange for a Pinto? Why would he give away a Rolex in exchange for a Timex? The only president willing to do that, Johnny B. Biden. Over the last 3.5 years, this country has desperately missed the strength provided by the Trumper, the strength that we saw on full display yesterday afternoon. After the attack yesterday, Donald Trump, he stood to his feet with his fist in the air, and he told the millions of people watching that we were going to fight. Now, many people were inspired by this, but not the Bum Squad at CNN. No! Last night, Jamie Gangel, she attacked the Trumper for his response to the shooting. Well, KC, who in the hell is James Gurgle? Jamie Gangel is your typical woke welfare collector at CNN. She's got all the qualifications required to work at the Cemetery News Network. For starters, Jamie Gangel. She is unknown to 99% of the population. If you put her in a one photo lineup, people would think that she is pretend Dr. Jill Biden. She's almost 70 years old, which is another requirement at CNN. Vast majority of young people, we refuse to work at that dump. Hell, the vast majority of young people forget that CNN even exists. The final requirement that Jamie Gangel checks is her unique ability to find a way to blame the Trumper no matter the situation. If Trump fed starving children McDonald's, she would claim that he is harming the youth of America by feeding them food that is barely edible. If Trump saved abandoned puppies, she would criticize him for saving their lives because the possibility of them finding a good home is 50-50. When Trump goes through the most frightening situation of his life and he refuses to back down, he refuses to give up, Jamie Gangel, she finds a way to blame Trump for sending the wrong message. Watch for yourself.
Liz Cheney, I don't know if we've read this before, she put out a statement. She said reports of the shooting in Pennsylvania are horrifying. Again, violence of any kind has no place in American politics. I do want to say there was one thing that when I watched the tape, I found odd because of all of the heated rhetoric. And that is that after he was hit, former President Trump got up and said, fight, fight, fight. I think what we're hearing from people is that's not the message that we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down.
First of all, who gives a shit about what Liz Cheney thinks or says? The last I heard about Liz Cheney, she was still in Montana crying to her emotional support moose about losing her Senate seat. Liz Cheney, to me, she's like the female version of Mittens Romney. The R by their name, it doesn't stand for Republican. The R by their name, it's kind of like a signal for their religion. Covert members of Woke United Methodist. Liz Cheney is a political enemy of Donald Trump, so why in the hell would anyone care what she says? I understand sharing messages from Barack Obama. I understand CNN sharing supportive messages from Johnny B. Biden, Nancy Pelosi. I can even understand CNN offering the Trumper the medical services of pretend Dr. Jill. Hey there, Donnie. I've got the pretend doctor on line 1. She's diagnosed you with an earache and she has taken the liberty to call you in some antibiotics. But I'm struggling to understand why CNN would share the thoughts of Liz Cheney. I would rather hear from her emotional support moose. According to Jamie Gangel, she has been hearing from people that Trump's message of fighting, his message of not giving up, it's not what people want to hear. Who are these people? Because Uncle KC hasn't heard a single complaint from normal people about how Trump responded. Who are these people, Jamie? Are you talking about the people who keep getting exposed by libs of TikTok? Are you talking about those people? I'm sure they were offended by Trump's response. They were also offended when he stood back up. Clearly, Jamie Gangel doesn't realize that no one cares what they think. Like I told you guys earlier, I was pleasantly surprised with the way MSNBC handled their coverage last night. I was expecting MSNBC to present the same garbage as CNN, but MSNBC, they kept themselves in check, at least from what I saw. But I can't say the same for some of the others in the woke media. Matter of fact, we are seeing a lot of examples of the woke turning on the woke. It should come as no surprise that Keith Olbermann, Keithy Poo, the premier pooper, he has been expressing his fake outrage on Twitter. Keithy, he is visibly upset that Van Jones went on CNN and said, "I'm glad Donald Trump is alive." Sky News, they tried to blame Trump for his own attack. Nothing justifies an assassination attempt, but did Trump change the rules of engagement? The media changed the rules of engagement. The same media who has spent the last 8 years comparing Trump to Adolf. The New York Times, they did their part to make sure deacons at Woke United Methodist were satisfied. The front page of the New York Times this morning, it featured a photo of the Trumper, but there was something strangely missing. The New York Post, they published a similar photo, but the Post, they included the American flag. When the New York Times published the exact same photograph, the American flag was missing. Strange. One of the worst examples of shitfuckery that I've seen, it came from Forbes. Headline at Forbes, will surviving be Trump's next appeal to black voters? What? Let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Are you saying Trump will now relate to black voters because he was shot at? Isn't that stereotyping? Isn't that offensive to black voters? Wouldn't this be an example of racism? This article was written by some doofus named Sean Harper. Now, apparently, Forbes was not supportive of this polished turd of an article because they immediately took it down. According to his bio, Sean Harper, he is Forbes' resident expert on diversity, equity, and inclusion. What a shocker! Diversity, equity, and inclusion strikes again. The Atlantic, the publication responsible for donating part-time woke welfare to Jamel Hill. The Atlantic, they published an article where they accused Trump of being a would-be dictator. Is it any wonder why people are abandoning the mainstream media? Is it any wonder why CNN's ratings are in the pooper? When all this happened yesterday, John Biden, he was spending time in his Delaware dungeon. Trump is busy on the campaign trail while his opponent spent the weekend playing Dungeons and Dragons. Johnny, he disappears for days, sometimes weeks at a time. Where was Trump this morning? On the golf course. 12 or so hours after being attacked, Donald Trump, he's out playing golf. Now, did he feel like it? I don't know, maybe. But it wasn't about the golf. It was about the message. Once again, Trump was sending a message of strength. He was not going to allow his life to be altered by someone else. Right now, most in the mainstream media are being respectful. Not all, but there are definitely some in the media who have toned it down a bit. Question is, how long will it last? I have a feeling that Trump's lead on Johnny B. Biden is about to be substantial. How long will this period of peace in the mainstream media last? I give it a week. 1 week and the media will be back to normal. What about you? How long do you think it will last? Also, give me your thoughts on CNN finding a way to criticize Trump for the way he reacted. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.